Hello and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren and today I am diving into a video about Shark Week. Do you see what I did there? It was mostly on accident. I realized what I was saying halfway through that sentence, and now this sentence has gone on way too long, so what I'm going to do today is watch a Couch Geographic video about sharks. Why was that so difficult to get out in the normal way? I don't know. Let's just go. Let's get started. Let's get started, baby. I like sharks.
Remember when I said I'd show a cactus my uvula before I go out into the ocean? Yeah, it was a tough cactus. I went swimming with sharks to see them in person and instead almost saw Steve Irwin. Shout out to the GOAT. That aside, I'm gonna make you like sharks in this video, but before things get better, first they gotta get worse. So thalassophobic's warning, here's the part where it hurts.
I like sharks. I find them interesting. I've never been scared of them really, but that's because I guess every so often when we go to the beach, it's like, oh, there's a shark close by, and it's like, okay, I don't know. Never really terrified me much. Part of that was because I didn't see Jaws until I was a little older, but when I was 6, my uncle did tell an in-depth bedtime story that was just 100%. It was just Jaws. He even included the part at the beginning where the girl was skinny dipping. Yeah. So I knew the story of Jaws, but I didn't actually see it, so it didn't freak me out. Jellyfishes. Jellyfishes are worse than sharks. That would scare me. This here would terrify me.
In a horror movie about jellyfish?
There should be. That's
a ton of source material. You're looking at, unironically, one of the worst sights in nature. A jellyfish bloom. It's a problem for many reasons. One, it's basically a bath bomb from Shaitan, but also cause it's one of the last signs the ocean gives before it hits the point of no return. When a part of Neptune's neighborhood falls apart and can't support the animals in it, the last step usually involves getting gentrified by jellyfish, since the same conditions that are unlivable for most are usually where Satan's shopping bags thrive. And don't think because you're on land you're safe. Not only have these blooms caused legit power outs, but about half of the on Earth comes from the same phytoplankton these blooms eat. So why am I talking about jellyfish in a video that was supposed to be about sharks? Well, if you're scared of one, you should probably thank the other. Sharks are the ocean equalizer, keeping other animals in line from their spot at the top of the food web. Near the top, we're getting to that. Basically, sharks eat the big fish that would eat the little fish that would eat the jellyfish polyps. The ocean is a Jenga tower, and sharks are the one block that can bring it all down. Now, it's not as simple as I just made it sound, where no sharks automatically means more ocean acne, but you really don't realize how fast the sea would fold without sharks. That is until you realize what their actual day looks like. Sharks aren't just the equalizer, they're crew, mostly going around picking off the dead and dying. You won't see them chasing around small fry that probably aren't even worth it. The same way you probably wouldn't drive 45 minutes for a bag of chips. I hope. It's why, if you want to check your egos.
I feel like it depends on the bag of chips. Yeah? Yes? No? Maybe?
Swim in a shiver of sharks and watch how hard you get ignored like J-Lo in the Bronx. I was Galapagos sharks, and the closest I got to becoming a hashtag was the ocean slamming me against the bars like I owed it something. It was like an MMA cage match with Mother Nature that got way too personal. I wonder why. But yeah, the sharks could not care less about me. They really do treat you like an NPC. I did learn that because sharks can detect electromagnetic fields, if you stick a GoPro deep enough, you can say you pooped a shark. Just know, that was the most action I got all day, and if more people realized how often they get snubbed by sharks even when they're right under us, you'd realize why you're statistically more likely to get flattened by a vending machine, KO'd by a coconut, or even past tense while putting socks on, than get milked by a shark. It usually takes bad RNG or a surfer adopting the silhouette of a seal. But why are sharks so scary actually? It sounds easy, it's a prehistoric predator.
Oh, that was a goblin shark, baby.
Honestly, I think it's deeper than that. Sharks, snakes, and spiders. These are the arguably 3 most feared animals on Earth, and it's likely because we're hardwired to be afraid of them.
Interesting. I also like snakes. I got a little snaky tattoo. I don't mind spiders in and of themselves if there's just one of them. And I would 100% hold a tarantula, you know? And I like snakes. I've held snakes before. I would probably go swimming with sharks. I would probably do that. I think they're interesting. And in the aquarium, I grew up in the in Baltimore. So like the Baltimore Aquarium had this like really cool, this is just really cool exhibit. It just went down and down and down and saw the sharks.
Snakes are legless, cold-blooded reptiles that even monkeys will throw stones at. On the other end, spiders have too many eyes, too many legs, and show up too many times in people's business to ever get good graces. Meanwhile, sharks might just represent the fear of the unknown.
That was mean! That was so cruel! That gave me a freaking heart attack.
The ocean is an endless, uncaring void that could wipe you out in seconds with nothing you could do about it, and projection's a hell of a drug since that unsettling fear often gets put on the apex predators of that void. But that's a problem right there. You hear sharks and instantly think of another Jaws movie. So maybe you should see the sharks that don't make the big screen.
Look at his smile!
This is a zebra shark. It's a cinnamon roll of a fish that is somehow less of a threat than the trauma donkey it's named after. The zebra shark is the beginning of sharks getting the sea dog allegations, and arguably the most dangerous thing is their front face. Take the thresher shark seriously, they shouldn't have given them such an unserious pair of eyes. It does not matter what the situation is, threshers will always look like they really need it. Now they do kill prey by delivering soul-evicting slaps with that tail, but look at him. He's just a baby. I'm sure there's
so cute
stuff about the salmon shark, but honestly all I can think of is that they're the baby Looney Tunes G-rated version of great whites. The epaulet is a shark with no regard for the laws of nature, using special fins to walk on land. And when
Oh yeah, I've heard of those. I watched a little video about that like yesterday. I feel like that's been a theme recently in these videos like that I've been posting specifically on this channel that are just like, oh yeah, I just read about that. Like,
up with student loans, taxes, and only 2 weeks vacation, it's all gonna get traced back to him. This is a spinner shark, and even though it's hunting, I can't not laugh at how unserious this is. The nervous shark is literally named after how terrified they are of anything human. And whale sharks are unbelievably wholesome for a bus-sized fish with teeth in its eyes. Speaking of whale sharks,
teeth in its eyes.
Filter feeders like the basking shark. They're about 30 feet long.
I think I want him to go back to teeth in his eyes. I want to go back to that. I'm waiting for him to talk about the nurse sharks because I like those too. But I'm like, that's Lovecraftian.
The second biggest shark, and they're really only a threat to your mental health, especially since a lot of plesiosaur panic can get traced back to a dead baskie. Then there's the megamouth shark, which honestly probably would be scary if you didn't know it's also a giant krill-eating pushover that lives in the forgotten corners of the ocean.
Hello.
Then you got the sharks.
Hello.
Get our sharks. Imagine you're at the shore and someone screams shark. Whole time they're pressed over a tasseled wobbegong, a type of carpet shark that takes the name literally by living its life as a homicidal wreck. Here you have the smallest shark in the world, the lantern shark. There's a sawfish that
I feel like is a real life mimic, that thing. Like the ruggy guy. Like, you know, because like in D&D, like a mimic, it looks like usually a treasure chest. Or in the game Prey, the mimics could look like basically anything. But like, this is what that feels like, because it just sits there and it waits for someone who like is unsuspecting to like touch it, and then it eats you.
rug. Here you have the smallest shark in the world, the lantern shark.
Yeah, lantern shark.
Sawfish that, oh, really? Okay, well, apparently it's not actually a shark, it's a ray related to a shark.
Oh.
Don't worry, because this is an actual saw shark, because you know the riddle. At this point, it's conducive to the same traits. That's convergent evolution. And you can't forget nurse sharks being so unproblematic.
Yeah.
Around people, scientists called it the Labrador of the sea.
Nurse
I'm glad
sharks.
they did, because now we get to go down the rabbit hole of sharks being dogs and cats at the same time.
Ooh, fun.
Beagle is a shark named after a porpoise and a beagle. I don't
Okay.
get it either, but we'll get back to that. Dogfish were
I'm trying to think why. So like beagles are like crazy energetic. They're like hunting dogs, right? So like those are the ones that like would just run forever and ever and ever, and then they like dug up foxes. So, and porpoises are a type of dolphin, so they're pack creatures. I'm guessing. This is me trying to put together the traits I know of animals, which is limited, to see what if I can come up. So a porpoise beagle shark is a social creature that hunts by like chasing down its prey and like startling it out of wherever it's hiding, and maybe herds it back to the, you know, it alerts others to where it's at, maybe.
named after fishermen apparently watching them chase smaller prey in packs, like dogs. But some dogfish are also cat sharks, and they got their name from the vertical feline-coated eyes. Like the small spotted cat shark is also at the same time called the lesser spotted dogfish.
Sorry, I wanted to just...
But some dogfish dogs and cats at the same time. The poor beagle is a shark named after a
Poor beagle.
and a beagle. Yeah, I don't get it either, but we'll get back to that. Dogfish were named after fishermen apparently watching them chase small.
So this is like I was like, because after I had the whole thing about chasing the prey or whatever, he just mentioned it, so I had to make sure that I wasn't talking about the same freaking shark.
Prey in packs, like dogs. But some dogfish are also cat sharks, and they got their name from the vertical feline-coated eyes. Like the small spotted cat shark is also at the same time called the lesser spotted dogfish. Google says there's over 150 species of cat sharks, including the chain cat shark, or chain dog.
Ooh, that's really cool.
They can glow green through biofluorescence. Not the only ones. It turns out over 50 species of sharks like kitefin and swell sharks can light up. That's about 10% of all sharks. And
That's really cool.
light to hide. That might sound confusing, but if you're a predator in the crotch of the ocean, all you have to do is look up, and anything that looks like a shadow against the light of the sky is probably your next victim. However, if you can take a cue from a lightsaber, you can blend into the skylight and basically disappear. In fact, counter shading is a concept most sharks borrow from, and it basically means if you're above them, then the darker roof blends into the dark of the abyss, but if you're under them, the light underbelly matches the sunlight hitting the water. And when you think about it, a lot of animals use this strat to avoid problems, but some take it a step.
Wait, no, hey! Go too fast.
A lot of animals use this strat to avoid problems.
Of course, these honey heads do the opposite. Of course they do.
But some take it a step further because scalloped hammerheads are scientifically proven to tan themselves if they sit in shallow, sun-exposed water. Some say recruiting melanin is nature's way of keeping them from getting eaten by their own kind, by making it easier for the smaller babies to hide. We got a little off track, I won't apologize for it, but the point is, if you're still afraid of sharks, then maybe you should subvert your expectations. Especially since some sharks aren't even full-time predators. The bonnet-head shark is like a hammerhead with performance anxiety. It's also an omnivore that eats seagrass, and in experiments, 60% of its diet included the green stuff. Whale sharks are also—
They look like a little vacuum.
A study from Forbes found that half of what goes through them are plants like algae and sargassum. Okay, so maybe you're still afraid of sharks. Maybe it'd help if you knew what are sharks afraid of. There's only one thing that can send the Star of Jaws packing, and you already know it's orcas. Killer whales are known to mutilate great whites for their livers, and often that's all they take. The sharks have been so beaten down that Monterey-based scientists found that great whites off Farallon Islands will abandon their favorite hunting grounds for up to a year if they run into the assault cetacean once. Researchers have even
Fair. Wise.
focus on loop to keep sharks away from beaches. And imagine minding your own business and a hairless iPhone monkey plays your ops anthem. And I wouldn't call it fear, but both dolphins and sea lions—
Oh my god, it would be like the stalker for freaking Payday. Yeah, nope, goodbye. Leaving.
have been known to bully great whites by abusing the always superior power of friendship. Okay, now I just feel bad for them. Bull sharks are honestly—
Cloaker, the stalker, the cloaker. The stalker, I was thinking of Left 4 Dead, but the cloaker from Payday, which makes that noise.
closest thing to the stereotype, and they have about the highest testosterone levels of—
Dang, that is a beefy male
down
shark.
that elephant. And
Wow.
even the bull shark has fears, and its biggest are crocs. They often frequent the same waters, and the rageaholic of sharks gets a severe attitude adjustment
An adult bull shark can give a croc problems, but crocs will prey on baby bulls enough to make the sharks avoid them. Okay, so they got childhood trauma.
just by smelling them. They've also gotten sent packing by hippos.
That was a big frickin' crocodile, too.
But by far, the strangest thing sharks are afraid of— yeah, I'm not even kidding. There is a very real rabbit hole
Air
of the
vents?
most notorious underwater predators getting pressed by some bubbles, with hammerheads and tiger sharks reportedly really uncomfortable with the bubbles from scuba tanks, and scientists even working on making bubble curtains to use as a type of bug spray, but for sharks. Which was funny until I realized dolphins probably just have them that messed up. If you want the definition of irony, it's spending 400 million plus years predator maxing just to get stressed by a SpongeBob scene transition. So play some orca opera and you'll keep sharks away, but the wrong playlist and you might just bring sharks to you. Sharks are attracted to heavy death metal music because apparently the vibrations and beats sound just like struggling or injured fish.
Okay.
Sharks are like the morgue of the sea, and dive operators like Matt Waller will use music as a Batman symbol to attract sharks. Their favorites? According to him, AC/DC, You Shook Me All Night Long, and Back in Black are the best at getting their attention. So are certain colors, because for a while it was widely believed that the single worst color to wear if you're afraid of sharks is yellow. Matter of fact, it was nicknamed Yum Yum Yellow for how wearing it could turn you into a literal snack. The truth is, sharks are likely colorblind, with only one color cone in their eye to R3, meaning they see the world in black, white, and shades of gray. Now what they can see is contrast, and anything that stands out against the ocean blue immediately gets their attention. The more you know. Now let me ask you a question.
Interesting.
You think sharks get silly? Like you think in 400
Yes.
million years of being alive, they figured out how to have fun?
I think
Remember
yes.
the poor beagle? Scientists peeped that the shark named after a dog will roll around in kelp, tossing around like a football, and even take turns chasing each other. Gray reef sharks sink if they don't swim, so they'll often swim against current updrafts in order to surf and basically take a break from the whole just keep swimming thing. But what's crazy is they have a conveyor belt system where once one shark reaches the end of the line, it'll let the current carry it back to where it started. You could say this is them saving energy, but is that not the same energy as this? Sharks have been fighting
A little bit, yeah.
boxing match for years, and the closest thing to an uppercut they got is the fact that sharks have friends. In 2023, researchers found that two great whites, Simon and Jekyll, had traveled more than 4,000 miles together after being first tagged off the coast of Georgia in 2022. Eventually,
Wow. Okay, that's really cute. I will say, because like sharks will also sometimes become very, very friendly with with divers, especially if they're divers that they see on the regular. And I just think it's really cute. Like the sharks will just come up and say hi and boop and like ask for pats. And I just think it's really adorable.
ending up in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, just off New Brunswick, Canada. It shows you how little we know about them, because a couple years ago, nobody would believe the final boss of sharks was down for a travel buddy. Shark scientist Yannis Papastamachiou linked up with researchers from the University of Hawaii, Exeter, and UC Santa Barbara to study reef sharks in the Palmyra Atoll to
I think it's
uncover the
adorable.
secret social circle of sharks. What they found was that these sharks have a literal social circle, with the same sharks hanging out together in the morning, separating and going about their business during the day, only to meet up again later. These
Okay.
sharks even use the same part
Cool.
of the reef day after day like a high school
My
lunch
freaking-
table. And these friend groups lasted the entire 4-year study, and it's not just reef sharks. By night, nurse sharks hunt alone, but during the day, they join cuddle parties of up to 40 in order to save
Aw,
energy. It
that's
must work,
cute.
'cause white tips also power nap as a stack pack. Sand tigers are like sea coyotes, where they're
Sand tigers and gray nurse sharks are the same thing? Huh. I did not know that. I also didn't know what a sand tiger was. I know what a tiger shark is. And I've heard of sand sharks. I don't know about that one.
fusion fishing. They have a close network of sharks they associate with, and even sharks they'll meet up with multiple
They can exist in groups alone or in pairs, whatever is most convenient. Cool.
times a year. Scientists now believe that if a shark has their version of a best friend, it's usually someone that's roughly the same size, the same sex, and about the same age, which would explain Simon and Jekyll. But now the real question is, can sharks form bonds with people? And the
Yes.
answer, like everything else, is complicated. Lemon sharks are not only famous for having favorite divers, but for getting jealous and overprotective when they see that diver around others. If a nurse shark is a Labrador, the lemon shark's a golden retriever with
Look at
Here's my
him.
thing. Now, sharks will form partnerships with other fish like remoras and pilot fish where they'll pick parasites off the shark, so this could just be a lemon guppy treating a person like any other cleaning service. Funny thing about pilot fish, sailors who saw them would swear they and sharks would act like close friends, and there's even stories of pilot fish chasing ships for weeks after they caught one of their sharks, apparently feeling distressed and anxious without
Interesting.
probably wouldn't believe that if something like that didn't happen with a person. In 2001, shark conservationist Jim Abernathy removed a hook from the mouth of a tiger shark named Emma.
I've heard of this one.
Years and several more hooks later, and Jim and Emma might as well be a married couple, with Emma still recognizing and rushing up to Jim even after up to a year apart. And
Wow.
we're not talking about nurse or lemon sharks. That's a 14-foot garbage disposal with the personality of a lapdog. We don't know for
Oh.
sure Sharks can feel affection like one, but it honestly wouldn't be a surprise.
No, I think they can.
Sharks are intelligent enough to be trained like dogs. Eugenie Clark was an ichthyologist and
Heard of her too.
lady who taught lemon sharks how to push a target and ring a bell for food, and they even learned how to tell apart different shapes and colors. Some aquariums in the UK train sharks to roll over and respond to signals and commands the same way Pavlov conditioned dogs. And gray bamboo sharks also figured out how to tell apart different shapes, even when researchers tried tripping them up with optical illusions. And even after 50 weeks, they still remembered their training.
Good for
Really shouldn't be
them.
a surprise. Sharks were around back when Saturn was bumping Beyonce and praying on a ring. Sharks are no dummies. You gotta respect that. They might be the biggest flex nature.
Bong.
Sharks can
Goblin
literally track
sharks.
your heartbeat through electroreception. They have a built-in GPS. They have replaceable fluoride-coated teeth that can't get cavities. Some, like the Greenland shark, can live for a legit hundreds of years.
Yeah,
You
I've
can
heard of
find
him
sharks
too.
at the
He's like 500 years old or something.
very bottom of the ocean, under an active volcano, and even swimming in River Thames. And I honestly don't know what to be more impressed.
Why would they do that? Get out of there.
Sharks have is they can be put in a trance-like paralysis just by getting rotated. The
Get
time
rotated,
immobility
idiot.
is usually triggered by pressing down on the snout, but sharks can induce it in some painfully awkward situations. Humans usually only put sharks on standby to study and tag them. Meanwhile, orcas do it to steal their organs like a black market merchant. But this time, I'm not gonna call them an oppressive Oreo. because we do something way worse. Shark finning is the practice of cutting off the fins
yeah.
and tossing the now mutilated shark back into the sea.
But
Their only
why?
option is to slowly drown or bleed to death. Depending on the shark, that can take an excruciating 2 hours. This is a fate that follows not hundreds, but up to 100 million sharks a year.
Yeah.
All for something Gordon Ramsay called mid. At the end of the day, we gaslit sharks like no animal has ever seen. We put up every World War combined numbers on them every trip around the sun,
really
while
sad.
sharks might get 10 on a good year. In fact, you can argue that for all the shark slander, humans have the highest KD ratio against them. No other wild animal gets done this dirty. Moral of the story? You know it's bad when the author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, would go on to regret writing it and dedicate the rest of his life to shark conservation. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, I'm gonna be posting the full GoPro footage of me swimming with sharks. Nothing too crazy. But other than that, make sure you drink water, hug your mother, RIP Peter Benchley, RIP Eugenie, and yeah, I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
Okay. Dancing. All right, all the more reason for me to never ever eat shark fin soup. Ugh, God, so sad. My sad boys. Like I said, I like sharks. There's also a very, very funny, I think it was a Twitter post, or it started with like a, it started with a comic, Reddit. Okay, so the no, Tumblr. It was a Twitter thread created after someone, yeah, it was a Twitter thread. Basically it was like, smooth lions are eating me. So like he goes into the water and then he says smooth lions are eating me, and the responses were like, sharks have sandpaper like skin, and he's like, and then the response from the artist was like, actually I have been dealing with sharks my whole life, they are smooth. And it went, and he just the angrier people got with the artist about like saying that sharks were smooth, he's like, no, they're absolutely smooth. And like it's very, very funny. Like I will sometimes just go back and reread it just for fun. I'm looking for a thing I can link to. I'm not gonna do the Reddit one, that sucks. It's like not a good, it's difficult to read. Bored Panda, maybe? Yeah, I'll link the Bored Panda comic, like the article, because again, it's just so funny. Like here, I'll show you some of it. So this is the original comic. I'm going into the wilderness. Hey, get out. I'm going into the big wetness. Smooth lions are eating me. And then it's like, as a veteran scuba diver, I've touched dozens of sharks with my bare hands. Every one of them had rough skin, like medium sandpaper. And he goes, there must be something wrong with your hands. Sharks are smooth. And it's like, he just goes on and on and on, and he just doubles down, and people just get so mad. It never fails to make me laugh. So anyway, that was sharks. That was a sharks video. I liked it. I hope you liked it. I know there was a weird bit in the middle there because my hair does not know what it's doing today, and it keeps getting caught on my eyelashes, which is very frustrating. But thanks anyway. That's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.